Edison sold candies and spent his earnings on chemistry sets. Thomas Edison took his first job at the age of 12. He was selling candy on the Grand Trunk Railroad. He was also selling the Detroit Free Press. Edison befriended the workers at the print shop. They gave him some old parts from old printing presses. Edison assembled them to make his own printing press. Typesetting was done by hand and took a lot of time. The letters of every word had to be hand-assembled. For efficiency, Edison pre-assembled common words. The end product was the size of a notebook paper. At the age of 14, Edison started his own newspaper. He named it the Grand Trunk Herald. It was the first newspaper published on a train. At first, Edison was a publisher, editor, and writer. He did marketing, printing, and deliveries. Later, he hired his friends to work with him. The Grand Trunk Herald published train schedules. Edison also did a market report each week. He wrote the prices of chickens, eggs, butter, and potatoes. The newspaper featured profiles of train passengers. Edison would interview them for a price. When the Civil War broke out, he published battle news. He arranged for them to be telegraphed ahead of time. Edison chronicled the Battle of Shiloh in his newspaper. Far more details were covered in the Detroit Free Press. Edison begged the newspaper to supply him with 1,000 copies. He distributed the news all along the line for extra profits. The Grand Trunk Herald was immediately popular. It circulated to both passengers and railroad employees. The newspaper sold for 3 cents. One-year subscriptions were sold for 36 cents a transaction. At its peak, the newspaper was earning $10 a day. This was a large amount even for an adult. Edison also started a food business on the side. He was selling produce from the Edison family land. He hired his friends to supply vegetables and fruit. The money Edison earned subsidized his experiments. Edison began his scientific experiments at the age of 10. He built a laboratory in the basement of his house. He either bought chemicals or found them in the town dump, but his mother became upset from the foul odors and fumes. Working on the train, Edison set up a lab in a baggage car. He could afford exotic and expensive chemicals. The conductor frequently complained about the smell. He threatened to throw Edison off the train, but Edison's heroic deed prevented him from doing so. Edison rescued a 3-year-old boy from a track. He prevented a boxcar from rolling into the child. The boy's father taught Edison railroad telegraphy. By age 15, he had pretty much mastered the telegraph. Edison accidentally set his baggage car on fire. This forced him to stop his experiments on board. Instead, he went from city to city taking telegraph jobs.